Good evening and good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for your time and your participation today to the first event of the Asian chapter of Women in PGMs. Today, we have three amazing and talented panelists who are joining us to share their views and giving us guidance on what's happening across the precious metal complex in Asia, with main focus in PGM industries and demands in China and Japan, viewing these two countries are the major consumers of platinum group metals. Our panelists today are Ms. Linda Hu, Heraeus Precious Metals China Head, Ms. Kate Harada, the Officer of Precious Metals Division at Tanaka Holding Company Limited, and Ms. ZhenZhen Liu, Director of Global Corporate Market of Platinum Guild International. At the end of the webinar, we are also glad to have Emma Schofield coming to give us an introduction of the Johnson Matthey Award Scheme. Now I'm passing the screen to Wilma.
Thank you very much, Zhuoying, and welcome everybody. It's very exciting. Well done to Zhuoying for being able to find such an illustrious a team of panelists, and thank you very much for everybody joining us today. My job is simply just to tell everybody that this is a webinar today, so we don't have any breakaway rooms, but you do have a Q&A facility, so please, if you have any questions for the panelists, we will have a short session at the end of our webinar to deal with any questions. So do post them, and I will be joining back online at the end of the session to just help facilitate with those Q&As. But I'm going to hand back to the capable hands of Zhuoying and look forward to the session.
Thank you, Wilma. The Women in PGMs is a global network for women to connect, discuss, debate, mentor, inspire, and succeed across all aspects of the platinum group metals value chain, and to play a role in growing the PGM industry. I'm just giving a background of the Women in PGM network. As the network expands its chapters in Asia, Europe, Africa, and the US, its goal is to help corporates and women looking to enrich and grow platinum group metals industry through focused insights, mentoring, networking, and developing female talents. More details can be found in our website, www.WiPGMs.com. We'd like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors, including Anglo American, Johnson Matthey, who recently joined us, Metalix, LPPM, and the company I'm working for, Gerald Metals. As I mentioned above, today is our first event of the Asian chapter of Women in PGMs. This year, Women in PGMs has held 2 successful in-person events in London and in New York. Though we'd love very much to do the same in Asia, due to travel restrictions being still imposed in certain countries and regions, we decided to kick off our first event in virtual, and we're hopeful that we can hold our first in-person event in year 2023. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Linda Hu. Linda is Heraeus Precious Metals China Head. Linda has been with Heraeus for more than 15 years. She successfully built Heraeus Precious Metals trading team in mainland China. Afterwards, she has led the team to build and drive a sustainable growth in trading, recycling, and products manufacturing. I've known Linda for many years, and I'm grateful that she agreed to take time for this panel. Today, Linda's presentation is about Heraeus Precious Metals recycling business and solutions to support circular economy. Everyone, please welcome Linda.
Thank you, Zhuoying, and good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I would like to take this following 10 minutes to introduce you Heraeus Precious Metal recycling business and support the circular economy in China. Let me start from PGM fundamental picture. Next slide, please. Yeah, if we see PGM demand and the industry application, China plays a very important role. China is top 2 auto producers globally and also heavy palladium loaded AutoCAD consumer. So you see for China part, for palladium demand, it accounts over 1/3. And when we move to platinum, besides AutoCAD application, there are various applications such as glass fiber, chemical catalyst, and even a lot of investment demand in platinum in China. And if we have a look again on rhodium, the majority application for rhodium in China still goes to the AutoCAD, other than especially after National 6. So in that respect, rhodium demand in China also go up to 29%. So in conclusion, actually, China consume over 1/3 PGM globally. And you see the demand is also going up year on year from 2010 to 2022. Then if we have a brief understanding on the demand part, we can move to next slide on the supply side. And I think we are all fully aware the mines are the major supply source for the PGM supply. However, there are very limited natural sources in China in terms of the PGM. This is one point, and the second point is actually if we want to get some PGM source in China, either we can do this via import or we do the recycling. So that's the reason recycling is play a crucial position in China. Okay, and but when we come to the recycling topic, one point we would like to remark very much. Next slide, please. Actually, recycled metal provides a massive CO2 saving potential compared to the primary metals by reducing the carbon footprint up to 98.1%. So in that respect, recycled metal is very much preferred for a sustainable growth and also benefit to the blue sky and the green water. Then I move to next slide, what Heraeus does to support this trend. Before I elaborate that, I would give you a very brief introduction on what Heraeus is, if the participants are not familiar with. Actually, Heraeus is a global portfolio company with the headquarters based in Germany, and also the top 10 family companies listed in the Fortune Global 500, with the sales revenue 29.5 billion euro last year. Okay, and on the right side, it plays quite an active role in terms of the revenue and also the employee number. Next slide, please. And if we have a deep look on the business portfolio, we have category into two parts. On the left part is the non-PM related global business unit, and on the right part are very much precious metal related GBU. And where I work for is called Heraeus Precious Metals, which is precious metal life cycle loop service provider, GBU. Okay, next slide, please. And the business model for our GBU is offer this loop services to our customers, starting from trading, then for the products, and after that spent catalyst application, we are also in a position to do the recycling. So you can understand recycling business working as the key for Korea's integrated solution in PM industry. Next slide, please. And for our GBU, we have developed this sustainability roadmap, and we have a very ambitious vision to be carbon neutral in 2025. But bearing in mind that that's only limited to scope 1 and scope 2. And of course, we have even more ambitious vision is to be net zero emission 2033, 2033. Turn away from the fossil fuels. Next slide, please. To achieve that, we have to shape the way we work to balance the planet and the profit. And so far, we have developed this transparency on the carbon footprint on the all across the regions for all the sites, and we have developed the roadmap to achieve that. And the activities to reduce carbon, one of the key action plan is to increase our recycling capability across regions. Of course, we have this cultural transformation and the business model change to support our customers, also to achieve carbon neutral. And in the next slide, I would highlight the recycling ambition. Next slide, please. Yeah, and here you can see our global presence with regards to the recycling capability. For the blue dots, where we have heavily invested for our recycling capabilities, and Hanoi is our headquarters. We also have the setup in the United States, Center Springs, and also we have our setup in the Hong Kong, Shanghai, Nanjing, and Pinghu. So in long-term run, we are keeping investment in the recycling capability across regions and across sites. Next slide, please. Here, I would like to focus on China picture because I'm located in China. So in China, as you can understand, we have 2 recycling sites currently. One is in Nanjing. Okay, so there we can we have the strong footprint for the incineration capability, and also the strong capability in the wet chemical part, where we can refine the PGM major from this various industrial markets in the form of the spent catalyst mainly. And on top of that, we have a JV setup in Pinghu, Zhejiang province, 1 hour from Shanghai, and by car. And it's a JV between Heraeus and the BASF. We are going to be very much focused in the treatment of the spent AutoCAD materials. And this factory will be ready end of next year, and we are going to officially open them by then. This will help to increase our AutoCAD recycling capability in China, and also bring the AutoCAD recycling capability in China to next level, hopefully. So let's see. That's more or less for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I do have a question for you. What's the strategy of Heraeus China in general? And if you could give us some highlights of the relationship between your joint venture with BASF in Pinghu and your plant in Nanjing. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Zhuoying. Good question. Actually, Heraeus has a long presence in China starting from 1994, and Heraeus, sorry, on global level for each market and for each region, for each region, we always have similar strategic approach. We are based in a local market, and actually we are locally made and for local market. Okay, so that's also applied to China. So we are locally made in China, and we are locally sell for China. That's our strategic approach. And also we are offering these loop services to our Chinese business partners, starting from trading and to the products manufacturing, and also for the recycling business. So we are positioning ourselves as this loop service provider, precious metal life cycle management service provider to them. But of course, leveraging our global network, we can follow customers' footprints. Either they are doing focus in Chinese market or go for broad. I think we can always be there for 24 hours PGM services. Okay. And with regards to the relations between JV and the HBMT Nanjing side, they are complementary to each other. If we understand the technical route for the AutoCAD treatment, then they are going to go into 3 steps, from the smelter, converter, until the wet chemical. So we dedicated on the smelter converter in our JV side, and for the along that value chain for the wet chemical, that will be supported by our Nanjing side. So they are complementary to each other, and also will help to feed in the our Nanjing side capacity. Hope I have clarified myself. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Linda. That helps us a lot to understand more about Heraeus in China. Now I'd like to introduce our second panelist, Kate Harada. Kate is the Precious Metals Division Officer at Tanaka Holding Company Limited. She's based in Tokyo. She started her career in one of the trading companies as the first female precious metals dealer in Japan. Kate has extensive experience in FX, fixed income, and base metals. She joined Tanaka in 2011. Today, Kate will give us some insights into platinum retail investment demands and how the investors' behaviors are shaping the platinum market in Japan. Kate, over to you.
Kate, for some reason, we're not hearing you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, all good.
Okay, good, great. Sorry. Thank you for the introduction, Wei Yin, and also thank you very much for WiPGM to arrange that everything this wonderful online seminars. So let us talk about the platinum retail investment in Japan. I'm Kate Harada from Tanaka. Tanaka is a kind of quite similar company, industrial company like Heraeus and Johnson Matthey and BASF, but the only different feature we have is that we have retail business and jewelry sectors. And today, let me talk about a little bit unique feature about Japanese platinum investment market. So next slide, please. Okay, so do you own any precious metals as part of your portfolio? Several choices available. Looking for the short or mid-term profit, maybe ETF or futures. If you rather prefer long-term investment, bars and coins. Holding physical gold or platinum sounds a little bit old-fashioned, but no margin call to worry about. The biggest charm of precious metals is gravity and luster. I mean it, seriously. Once you hold it, you feel it. If you're worried about security or you have little money to invest, Tanaka offers gold, platinum, silver accumulation plan, buy and forget strategy. Tanaka secure your metal in the segregated account in Tanaka. Accumulation plan is quite unique, which the general public who live in Japan and have a bank account can buy precious metals monthly with daily average price. You can start with 3,000 yen only. It's about 25 US. The money will be withdrawn from your bank account. Next slide, please. Okay, let me explain a little bit about Tanaka's footprint in Japan, especially platinum retail business area. Tanaka was founded by Mr. Tanaka in 1885 as a money exchanger, and soon he shifted the business to platinum industrial component fabrication. In 1923, Tanaka was appointed as the solo platinum and palladium distributor by Soviet Union into Japan. In 1970s, at the time, the Tanaka CEO determined to build the domestic retail market to create the domestic stockpile of precious metal and lobbying the government and industry and preparing for the right moment. In 1973, when gold import and export was liberalized and Tanaka received the gold LBMA GD bar status, Tanaka started issuing the gold retail price bid and offer. 5 years later, Tanaka started platinum retail price. And the Tanaka distributing network has been expanding since then. Along with bars, gold and platinum coin were also introduced to Japanese market. Krugerrand gold coin was the first in 1980. And gold maple leaf followed in 1983. In 1988, platinum maple leaf was introduced, and 97, platinum eagle followed. After great success of Vienna Philharmonic gold coins since 1989, Tanaka requested Austrian Mint, why not platinum? And the platinum Vienna Philharmonic coin was launched in 2016 and made a great success. And whenever the new coin was introduced, Tanaka spent a vast marketing effort to capture the interest from the general public. Next slide, please. Over 40 years, Tanaka has been building the distribution channel throughout of Japan. The appointed shops are originally long-established jeweler, watches, eyewear retailers. And also, we have 6 direct shops called Ginza Tanaka, located in Ginza, and Yokohama, Osaka, Sendai, Nagoya, and Fukuoka. Tanaka buys, sell ingot, coins, and buy all jewelry from the public. And all metals are dissolved, and every Tanaka bar at the shop is virgin to keep the quality fresh. Compliance such as KYC, KYCC, identify the source of the material or limitation of cash transaction in quite strict. Tanaka's retail business received a very good reputation from several government offices in Japan. And Tanaka issued a retail price at 9:30 every day, every working days on the website. Around 150,000 access per day. If any fluctuation in the market, of course, the price will be adjusted. And next slide, please. Okay, we call these items as asset jewelry. It's wearable. The price is fixed based on the market price. This Kihei chain is low margin product with certain weight and can be carried to anywhere you go. And also Tanaka is pushing coins and small ingot necklace to all gender groups. And luckily, they are well received by even young generation, especially longing for the professional skateboarders and celebrities. One of the best-selling items is 50 gram, 50 centimeters. It's around $5,000 US today. Not too expensive, but something for the beginners. Next slide, please. And platinum shows several features, such as melancholic value, memory, or event, not only as an asset. And to promote platinum, these eye-catching platinum products are good to expose Tanaka name, such as Christmas trees, like Frozen, 31 kilos of platinum. And on the left and the right-hand side, it's Cinderella, 9 kilos of platinum. Next slide, please. And in 2010, Ginza Tanaka created platinum miniature animals celebrating the centennial year for Japan South Africa celebration. 34 piece species made by platinum, totally 100 kilos. And good thing for Tanaka is that if everything's over, it will be dissolved. And next one, thank you. This is this year's decoration for Christmas. And next slide, please. So if you have not decided the Christmas or New Year gift, Ginza Tanaka is the place to visit. Detox is available. Okay, so let's talk about Tanaka's customer. High net worth household, and age group is over 50 years old. Gender ratio is 77 against 3. 70% is male, while the average 6 against 4. Those gender group well acknowledged on asset allocation and very nervous about the inflation, and they understand the risk against cash. But we have to say that certain proportion of young and low income group shows the interest on precious metals investment, like a newlywed, or they had a baby, something. So they worried about the children's future. So those gender groups looking for accumulation plan and coins, which they can start with smaller amount of money. But of course, while the bank saving is the #1 vehicle for general public, precious metals investment is still minor. It's really super minor, unfortunately. So keep Tanaka's name exposed is quite important for the marketing. So we utilize the TV commercials, newspaper ad, like a Christmas tree or platinum animals. And continuity. When Tokyo Metropolitan Office asked the retailer to shut down the shop due to pandemic, Upon the special permission, Ginza Tanaka opened a shop for precious metals business for any special need for cash. If in any needs, Tanaka is available. That is an important message to the public. As I mentioned earlier, Tanaka's compliance requirement for the transaction is quite strict. All the customers have to answer many questions and show ID to prevent any illegal act or violation of LBMA, LPPM rules. With the strict compliance, Tanaka's retail price is acknowledged as the leading market price in Japan in 50 years. Next slide, please. Okay, this is the chart of gold and platinum price since 2007. Thick line is Tanaka retail price in Japan. The orange is gold and the blue is platinum. On gold, due to high price hike, the well-sold products line changed from 500 gram and 1 kilobar to 50 and 100. Though the platinum stayed in the range, the platinum trading size was dropped down from 100 and 500 gram to 10 gram and 100 gram, following gold. While gold is hovering the highest price range due to weaker yen and steady gold price in US dollar, platinum upper line capped heavily. Definitely, we need a game changer for platinum for another trend. Next slide, please. This is the chart since 1978, when Tanaka started issue the retail price. To attract fresh money, always good track record required. That means success story, making money. Conflict and weak prospect of Japanese economy triggered the fresh money into precious metals market to hedge public yen asset. Long-lasting low interest rate policy by BOJ dragged down yen lower, and the portfolio with BOJ, the portfolio with vast yen deposit damaged heavily by the current inflation. Early next year, new governor of Bank of Japan would be appointed, and if any monetary policy changed, dollar yen would be adjusted and lower the precious metals in yen. But worldwide inflation poisoned general public mind and sharp drop in precious metals in yen. So these, that phenomenon might trigger good buying by general public. Don't forget, general public is net buyer. Next slide, please. Okay, guess I'm telling you how sad platinum retail market is, but let me tell you the bright side. In March 2020, along with a sharp decline of financial market, including commodity, equity, bonds, everything, because of the worldwide lockdown triggered by the pandemic, Tanaka platinum retail price lost around 24% from high to the low. In March, we saw good scale down buying from general public and reached the highest sales volume as over 5.5 metric ton. It's around 180,000 ounces in 1 month. those amount of platinum going to general public pocket. So that means to keep the door open and expose Tanaka's name linking to precious metals is the main strategy for platinum retail business now for Tanaka. Prepare for the moment. That's the word. Thank you very much. So that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Kate. My question to you today is any rough ratio between gold and platinum retail turnover at Tanaka?
Well, we don't disclose that the exact number of the turnover of the number of the account we have at accumulation plan, but roughly I can say 4 against 1, 4 gold, 1 platinum. That's the ratio.
Okay. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you.
Our third panelist is ZhenZhen Liu. ZhenZhen Liu has over 14 years of experience in marketing, sales, consulting, and business development across multiple regions. She's currently based in Hong Kong. In Platinum Guild International, she is responsible for global corporate marketing and communication with institutional stakeholders and media. She also oversees global consumer market research in PGI and manages publications such as Platinum Jewelry Business Review and PGI Insight. Today, ZhenZhen will give us a review on platinum jewelry market in Asia. ZhenZhen, I can't wait to hear your presentation.
Thank you, Zhuoying, for the introduction. Hello, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be a part of the Women in PGMs community and also a member of the Asian chapter team. And thanks very much for Zhuoying and Wilma for putting together this event. I think most of the people here know that the PGI Platinum Guild International is an international marketing organization founded by the leading PGM producers, including the Women in PGM sponsor Anglo American. And thanks to their support, we developed the jewelry demand for platinum. And we operate mainly in 4 markets, including China, India, Japan, and the US. And today I'd like to share our latest updates on the jewelry market in Asia and the key development there. Next page. Next. Thank you. Next page. Sorry, next page. Yes. We know that the jewelry demand accounts for about 30% of the total platinum demand and still remains an important source for platinum. And in the past, we saw jewelry demand is created through marketing, usually taking 12 to 18 months, leveraging PGI's networks. Next. Dedicated market developments from PGI encourage more engagement from the trades and leading to increased co-investment from our partners after seeing positive results from the programs and therefore creating a virtuous cycle. Next, please. So what I'm about to share includes some of such cases. Next page, thanks. Asia takes about 60% of the global population and also generates the majority of platinum jewelry demand. Next, please. China is still the largest single market, and there has been COVID-related disruptions in the last few years, and the jewelry business is under pressure because of that. As a niche offering in China, platinum compared with gold was impacted more. But despite the continuous headwinds from pandemic outbreaks, restrictive measures and economic slowdown, we do find the shifting market dynamics present an opportunity to reboot the platinum jewelry business model and to reposition the brand of platinum for the next generation of consumers. Next, please. So in 2020, right after the first wave of COVID, platinum jewelry began to recover ahead of gold jewelry in China, actually achieved year-on-year increase from the second to the fourth quarter in 2020. And in contrast, gold jewelry demand contracted sharply by 35% that year. But this year, the lockdown in ZhenZhen in March hampered the manufacturing and wholesale business. And after the lockdown in both cities, due to the tightened restrictive measures such as travel control, many orders were canceled and traffic to showrooms fell as well. So the output from manufacturers was reduced as retailers were reluctant to stock up. And with the pandemic under control in the third quarter, year-on-year decline in platinum jewelry manufacturing narrowed from June to August, driven by retailers' replenishments. However, the outbreak of a new variant from the late August put jewelry production under pressure again, and retailers became more conservative, and platinum jewelry fabrication fell sharply in September together with gold. But gold products with low processing fees are popular because of their investment value, and retailers also continue to push heavier gold products, which accounts for the majority of their business. Next page. Although the overall market dynamic is relatively weak, we saw the retail sales from PGI partners outperform non-partners due to their continuous innovation of products, especially the launch of branded collections and also the multi-channel marketing programs to help local markets recover. Next page, move on to India. India has been a faster growing platinum jewelry market until COVID hit in 2020. Although market contracted during the pandemic, it quickly recovered. And in this market, PGI developed 3 segment brands, leveraging the emotional equities of platinum as a modern metal for the younger generation. Next page, please. Even though platinum still accounts for only a small proportion in the Indian jewelry markets, platinum has been a high growth category until 2020, when it saw a muted Q2 and Q3 due to the first wave of COVID there. And after the second wave disrupted the Indian business in Q2 last year, store traffic started to return following the lift of restrictive measures, and therefore pent-up demand was fueled by positive sentiments during the festival and wedding season in the second half of last year and so far this year. Next page, please. And our partners saw a strong start in 2022. Sales grow 2 to 3 times in Q2 this year compared with last year, and continue to grow by double digits in the third quarter, thanks to increased orders and stocking from retailers during July and August festival, and also targeted marketing. Next page, please. Move on to Japan. Japan is a mature market for platinum, and this year positive sentiment benefit from strong sales of asset type jewelry and high-end jewelry, as Kate was mentioning, and from affluent customers and the return of the middle class. Brands targeting the new generation of female consumers also saw strong growth potential. Next page, please. By Q3 this year, Japan's jewelry retail sales have sustained its 6th consecutive quarter of growth. Next page. And platinum continued to be the choice of precious white jewelry, outperforming white gold. Next page. Thanks. So now I'd like to share some of the key developments that responds to the trends and opportunities in those 3 markets. One of the biggest opportunities in jewelry markets today is the growing importance of branding, not just to grab consumers' attention, but also to drive margins as it supports extracting more value per customer, especially if store traffic drops. So here, McKinsey predicts that the future global branded jewelry markets will outperform the overall jewelry markets, and the main growth will come from Asia. Next page. Building platinum's equity as a symbol of love and meaning has been a core strategy for PGI. But besides that, developing branded collections is also an effective strategy to enhance platinum's image among the jewelry consumers. And in some cases, we develop the branded collections with manufacturing partners to be distributed by multiple retailers. And in other cases, the branded collections are managed by, co-developed and managed by retail partners who have a strong presence and networks in the local markets. And we provide strategic and customized support. Next page, please. So starting with China. Next page, thank you. So in China, lack of design variety has been a big challenge in platinum jewelry industry, and therefore we have established this program called Platinum Design Spectrum to influence design and designers in this market. This is important because we want to expand the platinum category beyond bridal to fashion jewelry, fashion luxury jewelry, and also to men's and unisex segments, and to create a stronger appeal with the younger consumers. Next page, thanks. Our team also lead on the technology innovation and adoption to support new designs and design application. And so far this year, 2 examples are hard platinum alloys and electroforming. So this year, 10 of our manufacturing partners have launched products with the new hard alloys with different ingredients. And we also introduced electroforming technology to platinum jewelry in China, and opening up a new product category that's never seen before in China and for platinum jewelry. Electroforming allows for designs with large surfaces and hollow structures and designs of large flowing surface that are difficult to cast. And some Hong Kong retailers have launched products for trial this year already and seeing great margins. And based on the improvement in design and technology innovations, our flagship brand in China called PT Moment has become a key driver of growth for the non-bridal category in the past few years. And this brand not only captures younger consumers, it is also estimated to improve gross margins and average product turnover. Next page, please. We also continue to work with the leading jewelers in the market to launch branded collections, such as several collections with Chow Tai Fook, one of the largest retailer in the world, and a national jewelry chain, Lao Fengxiang, and Lok Fo, a Hong Kong jewelry chain. And those products are distributed in over 10,000 points of sale. And they're also performing better than the generic mass platinum. Next page, please. In addition to applying creative design and craftsmanship to branded collections, we continue to explore innovations in plasma jewelry by launching this new platform called Plasma ABC, both in China and internationally. And through this platform, we interviewed experts, and we hope to build a community of innovators and collaborate with the industry leaders to advocate plasma for the jewelry use. So please feel free to follow us on Plasma ABC YouTube channel and check out some of the videos on both technology and the design. Next page, please. During the COVID period, the stores are having reduced the store traffic. So we initiated a program called Reboots to help the local retailers recover. And this program continued to expand to multiple provinces and increase the sales conversion, help the local business. This year, this program was renamed Booster, and with the new theme, PT Art Space. And this is combining arts and local culture for experiential marketing. And so far this year, over 46,000 pieces of plasma jewelry was sold. And this program has won a China International Business Awards 2022. Next page, please. So move on to India. India is a jewelry market dominated by gold. And as I mentioned, we developed the Plasma branded portfolio, Plasma Days of Love, Plasma Ivara, and Man of Platinum to address the unmet needs of younger consumers. Next page. The strategy to focus on young consumers seeking differentiated jewelry to express their emotions and self-image has paid off, that you can see from this slide, especially among the young women. Next page, please. So in 2019, we launched the Man of Platinum category brands to capture the incremental business in men's population, also with high volume for platinum. And this brand's appeal lies in the differentiated design language that spoke to the modern affluent man seeking to have an alternative option to gold, which stands for more traditional values. Next page, please. Platinum's strong emotional and image-driven equities allow it to drive margins and high stock turns. And having experienced this opportunity, our partners have expanded Platinum into additional points of sale in the larger, more heavily visited gold departments. Next page, please. And this Q2, the summer wedding season and key jewelry buying occasions presented a strong growth opportunity for Platinum. And we brought back this program called the Plasma Season of Love after a 2-year break because of COVID. And this year, the sales from over 1,400 stores registered a growth over 100% compared with the pre-pandemic level. Next page, please. PGI India also hosted the 2022 Platinum Buyer-Seller Meets after a 2-year break. This event was to ensure the strategic partners plan and book orders ahead of the festival season and to help our manufacturing partners to plan their supplies for the upcoming season as well. So this year we saw an increase of 125% in orders compared with 2019. So with the positive sentiment from both the trade and consumers, we expect the industry to maintain the strong growth momentum in the rest of the year. and 2023. So move on to Japan. Next page, please. Next, please. So PGI's branded collections and other co-op programs in Japan motivated the local industry leaders to commit to platinum. So for example, next page, we have Thanks Day Platinum, which is long-lasting Japan's largest non-bridal platinum jewelry brand. And Hello Me Platinum campaign we launched in recent years because we notified the Japanese women over 50 years old important precious jewelry buyers. So we launched this campaign to promote purchases among those women who are celebrating a new era of life. Next page. But it doesn't mean that we don't look at the future generations in Japan. We launched this Platinum Woman program to introduce more younger women to platinum category. We just celebrated the 3rd year anniversary. And for this program, we work with 4 retail partners, including Ginza Tanaka. And so far this year, it has enjoyed a very good results, strong double-digit growth in sales. Next page, please. We also have the Platinum Born program or brand that is an example of collaboration between our Japan and US teams. And this is the brand we introduced the Japanese craftsmanship to the US market and has gained more interest in the non-bridal sector in the US markets. And this brand aims to bring refined, sophisticated platinum jewelry to everyday life. So those so those are just some of the cases of what we do in the 3 markets. And as I mentioned, we work with designers, manufacturers, all types of retailers, and also innovators to ensure platinum presents the industry with a strong business opportunity, and for the consumers, a beauty that transcends time and generations. And I hope this presentation will make you think about platinum jewelry during the upcoming holiday shopping season. Thank you.
Thank you, ZhenZhen. Beautiful presentation. It does give me the urge to go out and buy platinum jewelry myself. My question to you, since this is a webinar for women in PGMs, and you also mentioned that women are the driving force for the platinum jewelry demand growth, can you tell us more about how women have taken a greater charge in Asian jewelry market, for example, from accepting jewelry as gifts to self-purchasing?
Thank you. That's a great question. Yeah, definitely the women's as women are becoming more confident and their income has grown, they choose to buy jewelry that represents what they represent, so their own value. And this attitude towards putting a ring on it is changing as well. So women across the globe, including the Asian markets, they're buying jewelry to not only for themselves, but also for the growth of their career, their life, and the relationships as a self-expression. So lately we have this cross-market consumer survey, and it shows that a strong demand for women's self-purchase in the past year, and also continue to maintain this trend in the future. And this is not just happen to one quarter. we observed this is a consistent trend in the recent years. So from my slides, you could also see that, for example, in China, the bridal purchases for platinum jewelry only accounts for about 20% of the total platinum jewelry purchases. And that share is less than 30% in Japan in terms of ounce consumption. So we believe it's important for our partners, jewelry trade, to expand their offerings in targeting women who purchase platinum jewelry for themselves. And you can see that several of our branded collections and the programs are really looking at women's self-purchase, both young and mature. So I think that is definitely a growing category and with a great potential.
Yes, good to know. Thank you, ZhenZhen. Lastly, to continue with our webinar, I'd like to introduce Emma Schofield. Emma is a Platinum Group Metals Research Fellow at Johnson Matthey. Emma runs the program where Johnson Matthey is running a PGM award scheme, which loans PGMs to academics and startups to help develop application for PGMs. Emma, over to you.
Thank you very much. I wanted to start by saying that I'm really grateful for the opportunity to listen to the PGM in Women in PGM's Asia session, which has given me an insight into PGMs in Asia that I've just never had before. So thank you very much for that indeed. Let me see if I can share my screen without causing all sorts of difficulties. How does that look? Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it looks good if you just want to go into slideshow mode.
All right, let's see if we can do that. Come on, you can do it.
Excellent.
Awesome. So as was mentioned, I'm the Platinum Group Metal Research Fellow at the Johnson Matthey Technology Centre in the UK. And as you probably know, Johnson Matthey works in a number of different areas, making platinum group metal products as well as recycling. So in the clean air area, we make, I checked with our marketing people, and it's still about 1/3 of the world's catalytic converters, which consumes around 40% of platinum demand. That was in 2021, about 85% of palladium demand and 91% of rhodium demand. We also work in catalyst technologies in both homogeneous and heterogeneous catalysts, which have a significant impact, decreasing the amount of energy and therefore the environmental effect of numerous industrial processes. We work in hydrogen technologies, developing technology, doing research into hydrogen production technologies such as electrolyzers, and also hydrogen consumption technologies, in particular fuel cells, where we've been doing research, development, and production for tens of years, 20, 30 years. And underpinning all of this, we have the Platinum Group Metal Services, which includes our recycling divisions all over the world. We're the global largest recycler of platinum group metals. And of course, we have branches in Asia. So recycling in Shanghai, and recently developing fuel cell recycling in Zhangjiagang, and then development activities in Keytech in Japan. So talking about the scheme requires looking into the future of the platinum group metals. And again, as everybody here is very likely to know, palladium and rhodium are predicted to go into surplus over the period of the transition to net zero, as electrification takes over from autocatalysts, and those metals become available to put into other technologies. We know that iridium is likely to be in high demand for electrolyzer technologies. There has been some concern that there might not be enough iridium, and Johnson Matthey, if I can direct your attention to the link at the bottom, recently put out a paper to talk about what's required for us to have enough iridium to be able to fulfill that application. Platinum and ruthenium, the platinum markets are always strong because of its diverse areas, and likewise ruthenium has a number of applications where it could expand, it could decline. But if we're looking at an energy transition which is happening certainly in the UK, US and EU in the next, well, between 2030 and 2035, then we need to stimulate research now into the applications which will use a lot of palladium and rhodium and which will thrift metals like iridium so they're available for what we want. So Johnson Matthey last September, year ago September, launched the Platinum Group Metal Award Scheme. Now this is a successor to a scheme that we ran for 50 years called the Loan Scheme, where we gave quantities of metal to research groups to support research into platinum group metals. And in the new scheme, we are willing to give between 5 grams and 30 grams of platinum group metal salts to global research groups in order to encourage their work in coming up with new technologies, in understanding the technologies that we have, in particular, finding new applications of rhodium and palladium, finding thrifting applications for iridium. And we ask for applications, which the researchers can access through this link, so there's a form, and we select each quarter the 10 or 12 most promising projects, and then we arrange to send metal to these groups. We lay no claim to the intellectual property that's developed, but we do ask that if there's a publication that comes out of work using scheme metal, there's a little acknowledgement in the small print at the bottom of a paper to thank JM for donating the metal. So these are the areas that we've been supporting so far, and it won't surprise anyone that these are the major areas where platinum group metals are used. One area we don't give as much support to is pharma and health applications. Johnson Matthey recently sold its health business, and so unless someone comes up with a health application where there is clearly a very large amount of PGM that could be used in the application in the future, we're less likely to support a project on that. But all of these topics and any others that we haven't particularly thought of, we're very keen to support the research into. We have given metal so far to countries all over the world. There's a regrettable concentration at the moment in the UK because that's where it's easiest to get the message out. So my purpose in being here, we've had 2 applications from Asia, both of which were successful. And we'd like to get more people applying to the scheme. So my request to you is to reach out to your academic contacts and tell them that there is this scheme where they can get free PGM to do research with. We will ask them to send it back for recycling afterwards, but only after they've used it for a few years in all the products that they want to use. And it's to the benefit of the global PGM industry that these new applications are developed. They will go into the public domain so that everybody has access to them. So thank you very much for the invitation. As I say, it's been a privilege to listen.
Thank you, Emma. I hope more academics and startups will take advantage of this scheme and bring in more applications.
Thank you.
Now I'm passing the screen to Wilma for the live Q&A. Wilma?
Great. So can we have everybody else's screens on as well from the panel? Thank you ever so much to Linda, to Kate, ZhenZhen and Emma. That has been absolutely phenomenal and really, really lovely to have had an opportunity to focus specifically on on the work in Asia. I mean, I think that we often think about PGM production, we often think about where it comes from as opposed to from where it is being applied. And Asia is such a big market, so it has really been very insightful. Now, we've had quite a few questions, and I want to start, Linda, with you, and particularly looking at your presentation around your goals to achieve net zero. Now, we've had a question that kind of indicates that China is power generation is predominantly still coal-fired powered, 79%. How do you, as an organization in specifically China, because I think you were looking at it globally, Heraeus's ambitions globally, how do you achieve net zero in a country where the dominance of your power supply comes from coal-fired power?
Okay, that's a long-term strategy, and to be honest, we are very much focused on carbon neutral in 3 years. So that's for 2025, and actually we have series of measures. Like for the our most electricity consumption, we are targeted for the green electricity. So we have installed already solar panel in our site factory, and that contributes around 10% for our electricity consumption. Other than that, we also in the schedule of signing 3-year contract with green electricity supplier that will lock in our green electricity 100% by 2025. Actually, yeah. That's for our Nanjing site. And moving forward, actually, we also have the measure to do that technology upgrading to turn around from this fossil oil.
Excellent.
Yeah, but that needs time to be developed stepwise. So we cannot make that change in one day. But you know, that's the reason we have this cultural transformation. You know, cultural transformation. So all the team by each function we are driving to make it happen in the coming years.
Excellent, excellent. Now, one of the other questions that have come in for specifically Linda yourself is there was a stage where a lot of material collected, spent catalyst material collected in China would move outside of China, but then there was regulation that came in that prevented that from happening. So the question is that do you have a little bit more detail or flavor around how that will happen and change in the future? Is this still going to be very much a China-centric process? Or do you think that that will change over time? Would, China consumed so much metal over the years, specifically in autocatalysis. Would there be sufficient recycling capacity in China?
Okay, maybe I can answer in two perspectives. First, until China become a developed country, then we have chance to get our spent material exported in a compliant way. But until then, there's no chance for us to export spent catalyst legally. Okay. And the second question, as far as I understand, actually, Chinese companies, market players, local market players are very active, and also they are also in the position of this expanding of the recycling capability. Maybe Zhuoying, you can also make some side comment. And I feel very, very much confident. We have locally, we have sufficient capacity and capability to treat these various spent catalysts with PGM contained. And we Heraeus position ourselves as, of course, market leader. we try to also support this industrial upgrading in terms of this recycling capability. So together with all the other various local market players, we feel confident that can be locally sufficient to treat locally produced materials.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Zhuoying, did you want to add anything?
I'll just add simply, as Linda said, there are a lot of strong players in China for treating spent auto catalysts, including Heraeus, the big names, Johnson Matthey, BASF, and there's also local players like Sino-Platinum and some local Chinese refineries, recyclers as well. So I'm sure China has a strong capability of handling their spent auto catalyst by themselves for now.
Excellent. Well, so I have several other questions for Linda, but we'll pass them on. Moving on to Kate. There were two specific questions from, one was specifically, you mentioned that in your retail stores, you, though you collect metal, you don't repurpose jewellery. So all of the product, am I right in understanding that even though you would collect jewellery, you don't repurpose that collected jewellery or trade-ins, you would melt it down and bring out new designs?
Basically, we melt everything,
right,
what we receive. And the Tanaka itself, we are not the jewelry producers, jewelry makers. We have the subcontractor and who create the jewelry for Ginza Tanaka. So the jewelry, we are not the producers, we are kind of the wholesaler, a retailer. And the bars and coins, and well, of course, coin is a legal tender coin, so we cannot melt. So we have to ship back, or we have to keep it to resell somehow. But all the metals and any plates or any, the spare part of the jewelries, we remelt and reform it into Tanaka brand.
Right. Okay. Now, the other question we had was that, we've heard a lot about Tanaka's retail side and the investment component, but you are also quite involved in many other areas. A question that I've had was, in 2023, which area of Tanaka's business do you think is going to grow quite significantly?
Well, it's maybe it's the share with everyone, like Heraeus and Johnson Matthey and the BASF and Gerald, everyone. But maybe that our experience in the last 3 years, it's a phenomenally no one experienced before. So once all the economy has stopped and all that transportation and the logistics has stopped, so we are facing for the new kind of wholesaling. The transformation. So, well, maybe so it's a kind of poll question. So we should, that all of us can answer the own ideas. So, well, at the moment is that the only thing you can say is the wait and see what's the new orders is coming for auto or glasses or everything. So maybe I would like to Emma the same question. So everyone, everyone.
Sure, we could put it out to everybody.
Yeah,
yes.
Why not?
Maybe Linda, go back to Linda. Maybe what area of PGM business in 2023 do you think is going to get the most attention, have the greatest opportunity?
The major growth driver, right, for the PGM industry, I see it will be a difficult year for next year. And economical wise, in China, we see definitely there is a potential going down, but of course, government try to boost and with this quantitative easing policy. So let's see. And from the application perspective, I see like 5G related industry 5G related, and then that's with regards to the gold bonding wire. Yeah. And also there is clean energy needs, like the silver related, silver paste, as good as always, you know, the solar cell related. And the other area, glass fiber, might have chance if this the government the economic boosting play a role. That will help for the recovery of the glass fiber, I see. And of course, for all of us relevant, if the price volatility goes up, there will contribute to the trading opportunity, right? Zhuoying and the others. So it's really depending
on the economy, and yeah, that makes a lot.
I think the magic of I enjoy being in PGM world is it's always dynamic. You never know what's going to be happen in the next year. So that's the magic. You know, it's always different day by day.
Absolutely. So sticking to a similar theme, ZhenZhen, I wanted to just ask you, you know, I mean, I think that you were going to say to us jewellery, right? Because that is your focus. But within jewellery, you mentioned that there is still a growing demand, or growing demand within the youth. Now, for some time we've heard that, you know, younger people are not getting married anymore. They're buying technology, and they're buying experiences. So what is the key driver, you think, you know, that would continue to see the younger generation have an interest in PGM jewellery next year?
That's a very interesting question, and also it's one of our primary focus across different markets. So younger generations, younger consumers, for example, in India, in China, definitely several projects and programs and branded collections are targeting them. But we have to remember that the young generations, they want different kind of jewelry, and for different reasons, and usually with innovative designs, something new, and always you know, with a lower entry price, and also very much influenced by social media. For example, this is not news, but the channels they influencing them could be very different for the younger generations compared with the older generations. And we do see that the younger generations have a stronger preference for platinum, for different types of platinum jewelry, for example, in China, in India, and in Japan and the US in the last consumer survey we had. So just to give you an example, for example, in China, we found, for example, like 85% of the Chinese female consumers aged 18 to 30, so Gen Z consumers, they have purchased non-bridal precious jewelry in the last 12 months. So they are one of the, you know, key target for us, and also the millennials, but their average spending on precious jewelry is lower than the other age groups. So we have to design, the jewelers have to design different types of products for them. And also they get information from social media channels, such as in China called Xiaohongshu, which is a social media app that I think around 80% of the users are between 16 to 35. And the other apps like Weibo and WeChat and TikTok, the Chinese version of the Chinese version is called Douyin. They're more favorable to older generations. So you can see that, you know, the younger generations are influenced by different types of social media and influences. And talking about, for example, like the younger generations, they buy from online more as well. So even for this year, that we saw like weaker consumption for platinum jewelry. But on Tmall, the similar platform to Amazon, so in China, the Taobao Tmall platform. So we saw some of the products actually very popular among the young generations, such as like multi-wear platinum jewelry, unisex design platinum jewelry. They're selling well, and they had positive growth. So this means that it's not like young consumers don't buy jewelry. They buy jewelry for different reasons and with different designs to express different values for themselves.
Excellent. Well, so I'm mindful that Zhuoying's going to tell me I'm overrunning my time. So one last question for Emma. I have a couple of more questions that have come through, but we'll make sure that we pass them on to you individually, and then if you could maybe respond to them. So Emma, I mean, it looks like a very exciting program, and you mentioned that, you know, one of the things, there's quite a lot of metal or people that have been able to access the program in the UK, but in Asia a little bit more. So is the only process an online application process, or is there any other ways in which companies can access, or people can access you? And you mentioned academics. Is this limited to academics, or is it broader? Can a startup make contact with you from Asia?
So at the moment, the only access is via the website, and I was hoping that that would make it globally accessible rather than at any localized area. I mean, this is a group of expert people. So if anyone's got any suggestions as to how to make it more accessible for people around Asia, that would be very welcome indeed. To date, it's been academics, but anybody doing, we were thinking of working perhaps with startups. Obviously, we've got to be a bit more careful because we want this to be for the good of the PGM industry, not for the good of any particular direction or commercial enterprise. But I'd certainly like to explore that as a possibility. I suspect they'd want a bit more metal than we're sending to the academics, which might make it a bit more challenging.
Understood. Well, thank you very much for that. So Zhuoying, thank you for letting me run with the Q&A. It's been exciting and interesting, and although we haven't been able to cover everybody's questions, we certainly will make sure that we round back to those that have sent through questions.
Thank you. I think that wraps up our event for today. This has been a great presentation from everyone. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank all the speakers. I'd also like to thank Excel Academy for the support and help. And lastly, great thanks to all the audience for your precious time and participations. For myself, Kate, ZhenZhen, Linda, and the board of Women in PGM, I wish you good health and a great day and evening ahead of you, wherever you are. Thank you, everyone.